The Combat Achievement Diary, a testament to a player's problem-solving, spatial reasoning, and overall skill in old school RuneScape. My goal is to complete the diary in the lowest in-game time. This is the Zuckhelm Any% speedrun, starring GM to GMs. The Theater of Blood, old school RuneScape's hardest raid, and by far my favorite out of the three. With 3 different modes presenting 50 tasks between them, we have a lot of work cut out for us. But today, we only focus on the 2 that matter, normal mode and hard mode. There's a number of challenges, some creative, some tedious, and some that test your patience like no other. And of course, the taboo of tasks, kill count. Now let's take a minute to talk about this. Much like the Chambers of Xeric, the diary requires 150 kill count, and hard modes are reverse compatible, thankfully. So that's 50 hard modes and 100 normal modes being the bare minimum to complete the diary. Now, logging out to kill count boost for the Theater of Blood doesn't work the same as it did for the Chambers. In fact, it's much more demanding and hardly worth it. If your teammates transition to, let's say, Bloat from Maiden, and you're not logged in, then you are ejected from the party upon your return. In order to remain in the party, I'd have to log back in at the end of every room, trek to the doorway, and log out again. And considering 4 out of the 6 rooms take less than 2 minutes to complete in a 5-man team, this is hardly worth it. On top of that, one of the 2 rooms that would save considerable time is far too risky to do so, since there is a wipe mechanic in place. The Nihlokis takes about 3 minutes and 40 seconds in a standard 5-man team, but the health of these pillars scales with the initial party size in a downward direction. In efficient 5-mans, it is not uncommon for a pillar or 2 to fall, and if 20% of your manpower is missing, you begin to tread on some dangerous waters. Now, not being able to really cheese the raid isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, there's a rather large benefit to it. Experience multipliers, and most of these bosses have them. If you've been around the theater before, you'll know that you gain copious amounts of strength experience every raid. For where we stand right now, it's about 80,000 experience per hour. And since we're not quite 99 strength yet, the amount gained over the course of this 50-hour grind would put us that much closer. So with all the numbers on the table, let's get into some raids. As 5-mans are the best way to rack up kill count, I need to gather some gamers. I created a Discord to house some good friends and associates, with some fairly tight barriers to entry. Must know how to pog tank, be a main account, and have max gear. The first of which being exceptionally important for Verzik to save a considerable amount of time in hard mode. We rallied the troops, and set out for a grind. My teammates for day 1 were more in the mood for hard mode, and in order to access hard mode in the first place, you need 1 kill count in normal mode. So after snagging the Bloat 2-down task, melee only Zarpus, and getting the Master 5-man speedrun time for free, we unlocked it. Now let's talk strategy, since we're doing some things differently than your standard top runs. For Maiden, we're employing a strategy known as stacking. Instead of clearing out the first wave of Nihlokis, our 3 DPS rolls continue to hit Maiden, and by the time we've frozen all of the first wave, the second wave has come out, and we can stack them together, making better use of the Ancient Spellbook's AoE, and the Scythe's 3 hit splats. On top of that, our Ranger can go buck wild with chins. And of course, we skip 30s. Zarpus has everyone attacking him in a 5-tick rhythm, and Verzik has all of us performing the synchronized pog tank during her enrage. And outside of special combat task requirements, everything else will be like your normal top experience, but faster and more experienced. While we were getting into the swing of things, we picked up Stop Right There, which requires you to beat Maiden before the blood spawns mark up too much of the floor. and we got that by just attacking the boss. Royal Affairs, where all 3 princes must be slain before changing colors a single time. The 5-man speedrun time, requiring you to complete the raid in under 19 minutes. And the following raid, we acquired a faster time by doing literally nothing different. But notice how the boss died as those yellow panels came out. With 0 effort other than all of us being synchronized in our attack timers, we complete the task requiring everyone on the team to perform some gaming-style maneuvers. Sometimes the Jagex Spaghetti works in your favor, and that new log slot will make for some nice sauce. And yes, 57 Tall Fred, it does complete the task. Before too long, we see our first purple chest on the 5th run, housing a Grazi Rapier. And after the incident in the last episode, money is very much a welcome sight. And after several more raids, we end the first day session with 13 hard mode kill count. Now that the knuckles have been dusted off, it was time to get into some more serious task completions on day 2. First one I've got my sights on is Harder Mode 3, a challenge where you must defeat Verzik's 3rd phase in hard mode without ever striking her with a melee weapon. Thankfully, due to limited resources, weapons can only be coded as one type, so this 4-tick weapon with a moderate slash bonus is considered to be a magic weapon. We could all just use Shadows of Tumekin, but they're about the same in terms of DPS, and this looks way more Chad. Now, while we're all well-seasoned gamers, accidents can happen, and things go from under control to unreasonably tense in a matter of seconds. Me and Wide are the last 2 standing. And thankfully, luck was on our side. That completes Harder Mode 3. Yo, 94 strength. Please leave a comment gratzing me. Look at that, the 25 kill count task at 24 hard mode completions. So next up on the list is a task that's not that flashy. Pack like a yak. Complete a hard mode where no one takes from the supply chest. Not too tricky of a task, almost a freebie. And that also puts us at 30 out of the 50 required hard modes. So why don't we take a visit back to normal mode? This side of the theater has a task notorious for making some gamers tilt off the face of the earth. Perfect theater. If there's damage you can avoid, you can't get hit by it. If there's a mechanic you can fail, then no you can't. If there was ever a task to make an aspiring Grandmaster lose their will to continue, it's this one. What seems so simple on paper can lead to a spiral of task failures for the silliest of mistakes. So the plan? Finish it on the first go, and avoid the mental tilt. I've convinced 2 of my longest friends in this game, and 2 of the best Tobbers known to Gielinor, to help me with this task. First off, we have Dirac Obama, a solo Tob enthusiast and an innovator for metas, strategies, and techs that inspired even me to try something fun for a bit of content while chasing milestones. Second, we have Resk. When it comes to solo performance, he's unmatched, holding the record for both normal and hard mode theater solos, as well as 5-man hard mode. Nothing else needs to be said. With the team formed, it's time to step foot into the theater and take on one of the hardest tasks on the list. The Maiden. No one can take damage off prayer, step in blood, or let a Nihlokis reach Maiden. Handling this room meticulously, it poses no real threat. The same can be said for Bloat, by taking 0 damage. The Nihlokis is where things become tricky. If you've ever participated in the theater before, these little critters after a certain wave will change colors halfway through their life cycles, which are about 30 seconds long. And if you hit one with the wrong style, that will fail the task. For us, this was light work. Up next is Sotetseg. Much like Maiden, taking damage off prayer is forbidden, as well as taking damage from stepping on the wrong tile of the maze. So our plan was to just take no damage off prayer, and it worked. Now comes the brick wall, Xarpus. While Phase 2 and 3 are relatively straightforward, it's Phase 1 that poses the real threat. You can't allow a single vent to heal Xarpus more than twice. In a trio, you need good coordination to make sure you have enough space covered for any vent that might spawn while one is being covered by another teammate. And with the hard part out of the way for Zarpus, the other two phases were a downhill ride to the last room. Meet Verzik Vitur, and a long list of things we aren't allowed to take damage from. The biggest difference from a normal theater run is how we handle the second phase. During the second phase, Verzik has an electric attack that bounces between players, and if there is no one nearby to conduct with, it will zap the target, dealing 44 to 50 damage. Alternatively, if it bounces to a fourth target, they will take the same damage roll. The former scenario will not fail the task, while the latter scenario will. On top of this, Verzik will periodically summon volatile Nilochus that detonate upon getting close to a player, and as you can guess, this damage fails as well. So we spread out as Phase 1 ends, and meticulously handle the threats presented to us. The Nilochus I've frozen is too close to my spot for me to safely move in, so I decide to wait out its timer. Dirac takes a zap, however since it did not conduct a complete circuit, it does not fail the task. Now so long as that purple Nilochus in the south of the room stays up, no new spawns can appear. From here on out, it should be smooth sailing. And there it is, on 2 kill count, Perfect Theater has been completed. A huge thank you again to Resk and Dirac for helping me complete this in one attempt. Up next on the chopping block, we have Swampletics the task. The only weapons we're allowed to equip are those of the 6 Barrows brothers, and of course, the Dawnbringer. Most people will do this task with Guthan's Spear, and Torva or Bandos depending on their budget. But that's boring and slow, and the Guthan Spear can't even hit above a number 50. But you know what can? 5 gamers kitted out in full Barox. So let's see the big numbers fly. Unfortunately, you fail the task if you don't survive to the end of the Verzik room, much like me. And there's Settled Only completed, as well as Back in My Day, which requires you to do the Theater of Blood without equipping a scythe. With the troublesome normal TOB tasks taken care of, we're heading back to hard mode to clean up the stragglers. Starting with harder mode 1. It's pretty much just normal mode perfect Soditseg, but do it in hard mode, and if Soditseg throws his pear at you, you need to grow a pear and tick eat it. And with the power of looking at the screen while playing the video game, we cleared it. Next is harder mode 2. Think perfect Zarpus from normal mode, but you live the dream of phase 1 and step on no vents instead of scrambling like Varmin to cover them. Seems easier, but remember, the space we can move is limited, and Zarpus is jacked up to full power, and instead of death dotting with blowpipes, we're just doing it the normal way with scythes. There's harder mode 2 finished. Now for the Straggler Verzik task. Nilo Sniper. As the name suggests, you need to snipe off the Nilochus that Verzik spawns, as opposed to popping them by getting close and running away. An easy task to complete, but not one you would do in a normal run. Now for the Straggler Bloat task. Personal Space. Defeat hard mode Bloat, but don't stand on top of someone, don't die, and you have to do it in a party size of 3 or more. So how are we doing this? Well, my inventory should tell you everything. We stand around and just... yeah. Riveting. While it looks goofy, it's still a bit nerve-wracking, since at all times, we're always within lethal range of a foot falling on our head and knocking us out. And without leaving anything to chance, a nice little Guthix Rest Tiki to finish. That's Personal Space completed. One straggler that I actually forgot about from normal TOB that dawned on me during this hard mode run was Can't Drain This. Complete Maiden without losing a prayer point. The only difference with this task is Maiden basically just deals double damage, and the mages need to bring more magic switches to secure freezes. What a stupid task. And while rounding up for more kill count, this happened. Then this happened. Well, I'm not live right now, but Puggin is, and I just got a Sang ornament kit. It's a shame because outside of TOB, the scythe isn't going to see much use. Such a shame. Then this happened.
Another one.
Continuing the cleanup, there's the 4-man speedrun time for hard mode. Not too challenging of a time to hit, and of course, there's no money in here. Now for the 3-man hard mode time. I've drafted my perfect theater team for this, so this should be another easy one and done. A big thank you to Spectrum Internet for costing me about 10 more minutes. And this time, with no interruptions from unreliable internet service providers, there's a 3-man hard mode speed time. Now with that, we're left with the final task of hard mode. 50 kill count. So that's hard mode, Theater of Blood, fully completed, with a nice little Sang kit to go with it. With the hard mode out the way, it's time to return to normal mode. Excluding the speedrun tasks, we're just left with Pop It, and another 88 kill count to stack up. So let's pot some Tob. And that puts us at a whopping 96 kill count. I was going to end at 95, but we ended up picking up the 5-man speedrun time just from sending standard runs. We're left with just the 4-man, 3-man, and duo as far as speedruns, and 1 extra kill as buffer zone should we run into another hard mode trio incident. I would be sending those now, but I have big plans for the finale of the series. Aside from the 2 Sang kits, I didn't get any unique items in my name, but my teammates sure did, even if it was about half as many as we're expecting. About 99 mil worth of splits, and 69 mil worth of standard loot. And until the finale, we bid the theater adieu. Next time, we take a trip out to the desert and pay a visit to a mascot. I've got some business to do with her. Thank you for watching today. And now a word from today's sponsor, Molegoat Kirby.
If you subscribe to the Cold One YouTube content, YouTube's channel, you will get amazing content like Hardcore Iron Man doing solo TOB. You'll see amazing content like Group Iron Man doing solo TOB.